Welcome to the Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hour. Reach Roy at 615-843-2999 or visit roymatlockjr.com. And now, here's Roy.
All right, Roy Matlock Jr. here, and we're finishing up another year in the life of all of us. And if you're here listening, thank you for tuning in. And today, what I'm going to do, we just kind of, as you go into a new year, you always want to get things fixed. And one of the number one New Year's resolutions is to save more money and get our finances straight and things like that. And so today I'm going to do a section strictly about retirement planning. And when I say this, it's going to be more from, accumulating and the distributions when you retire. So it's going to be for someone getting started all the way through, but it's going to be more of one of those things that this is the way, if you came to me, and I don't care what age you're at, there's some things that we're going to talk about and, get you on track. And that's what, the whole idea behind, we work, I always tell people that your financial independence is in direct proportion to the number of months that you can go without having any income. All right. And we always talk about initially, 3 to 6 months is the first goal of emergency cash. And, that means that if you lost your job and you came in and they said, hey, you got, you're fired. And then, you got 2 weeks left on your paycheck. You say, oh, that's okay. I got 6 months, and in 6 months, I got some time to, chill for a second, revamp, decide what I want to do. And then if you have a year set aside because you got more money, and you got 5 years set aside, and then 10 years, and then one day you've got unlimited funds that will never run out no matter how long you live. And that's where your goal is. And you want to be thinking like, all right, how far could I go now? Where can I be at the end of this year if I do what I'm supposed to do, to where I get where I've got more security in the level of, or the number of months that you have set aside that that you're going to be okay is in direct proportion to your stress level, your security level, your level of what I call quality of life. That's generally the gap between your income and your outgo. It's also that you just don't worry because short of your health, if you don't have any money, there's nothing much worse that can happen to you. So today we're going to do that. Retirement's not an age or a number. It's a cash flow transition. So when you get to a point where you have enough cash flow to where you can quit and know you'll never run out of money, you could make that decision. Now, I always tell people that work as long as you can, and as long as you like what you're doing. Generally speaking, if you're really wanting to retire, then it's probably because you don't like what you're doing. And so if you're in that situation, especially if you've got, a long career ahead of you, then it's time to start looking for something that is fun, that you enjoy. I'm getting ready to turn 65 years old. I've been doing this for 40 years. I can't even believe that. 40 years I've been doing financial advisory, and I expect to be doing financial advisory right up until the day of my death. And the reason for that is that I like it. It's fun. All right. I like helping people. I like money and paying attention to stuff. I like to learn. And so it's a constant learning. I get up in the mornings, I read probably, I don't know how much I read. Anytime I get up, I'm reading. It's always about that or golf. I love playing golf. And so I'm always, working on stuff. But the point being is that you want to find something you like, then it's a hobby, and you start moving into this. So this is all about accumulating money. So your accumulation is growth, savings, discipline, distribution is income, protection, tax efficiency, things like that. We're trained our whole life to, you need to be saving money. You need to be saving money, but there's a lot of things in there. Are you taking advantage of taxes, tax benefits? Are you getting matching funds? Are you understand the compound interest, how it works and how important it is to, make sure you get the extra rate of return, half a percentage points over a 20-year period can add as much as 7 years of additional income stream to you if you're pulling money out. So all these little things that happen when you retire, we want to make sure that we have a lifetime income that never runs out. We also introduce new risk at retirement, like longevity risk, which means that we are outliving our money. We have another risk that we look at that is called tax risk. I mean, I met with a client yesterday, and we're just sitting there and we're saying, okay, how do we keep you from paying taxes on your Social Security? Because if you go over, X amount, depending if you're married or single, you're going to 50% of your Social Security will get taxed. And then after that, if you go over an X amount again, up to 85% of your Social Security will be taxed. So why wouldn't we try to keep it under that number if at all possible? We have healthcare costs and so on. So all of these things come together when you start pulling money. So what is the first step? If you're young and getting started, I can give you the first advice is that you want to get started now, and you want to make sure that you're putting things in that have opportunities for growth. I see this all the time that, they just they don't have anybody helping them, and they've got their money sitting in the wrong things. And I see this the same way with people that are retired right now that, they're way too aggressive in their approach. And we'll talk about sequence of return risk. So if you're retiring right now, it's the difference in someone over a 30-year period. If the market's up the first 2 years, 30 years later, they can be pulling 4% out and increase at 3% a year, and their money 30 years later is more, okay, than they started with. But if we happen to have 2 down years to begin with, it's possible their money will run out. And so that's why we have different buckets when it comes to money, where we're going to put it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to roll through today. This is a retirement show. I'm going to get into all the products. The phases are the accumulation, the distribution. This is kind of the setup. If you are out there right now, one of the most important things to do is get your money on autopilot. You want to make sure that your money gets saved and invested automatically, and that could be your retirement plan through your work. It could be your automatic bank draft that you have pulled out of your checking account, which is what I've always done because I've been self-employed. It could be any of those things, but the most important part is that you got to get started. Procrastination is the number one cause of not having money. My name is Roy Matlock Jr. Go to roymatlockjr.com if you would like to find out more, schedule a free consultation. We'll be right back. All right, today's show is about building your retirement from the accumulation stage to the withdrawal stage, and really just an overview of all the different things that you can do when it comes to your money. So segment number 2, we're going to talk about the way to accumulate money, and then we're going to talk about, the different fundamentals when it comes to investing. The first, key is always, manage your income. And what I like to do is create ways to become bulletproof. And bulletproof is having multiple sources of income. We've always heard about diversification. And so what are multiple sources? You can have a job. You could have maybe a self-employed business. You could have K1 business where someone, maybe you're investing in a business. You can make commission. You can have your spouse work or not work, all this stuff. You've got real estate income. You got all these different ways. But what I've found that is true, and that is that you should always have more than one way to make money, and always do that. Most people I know that get ahead, if they have a job, they have a side business. All right, and it doesn't mean you can't get ahead if you have a job, but if you have a sideline business, you get tax benefits, one that makes money, and then you always have something to fall back on. And so we always have. Most of all of my reps that are with me right now that are full timers with me started as a sideline, and we have a licensed referral partner, where you can come in and learn how to do that and learn about money. We have a great program on that. So if you had an interest in that, you could go to roymatlockjr.com and look at join the team. But kind of segue on that. But the point being is that I like to have multiple income streams. You have multiple retirement streams, and that is you've got taxable type accounts. Uh, Generally speaking, the way you think of a taxable account is that if you're paying taxes on it, it's liquid. That means if you're paying taxes yearly, it's liquid, meaning that, if you get tax benefits like deferral, then there's generally, you know, liquidity issues. Maybe there's penalties if you're under 59 and a half, or if you buy an annuity, there might be surrender charges. But the reason you do that is in order to not pay taxes on the money you're not using. So what we do is we want to have a certain amount of money that is very liquid. I call it opportunity money. And also we have our emergency fund. The emergency fund is one amount of money set aside just to, in the event short-term things to keep us from having to dig into long-term money. It also gives us opportunities to become more self-insured, raise deductibles, things like that. Then we have some what I call opportunity money. Generally speaking, that's money that you don't expect to use, but if you needed it, you could get it. And it's got some growth elements to it. A lot of times I'll put people in what's called balance funds. That's where they're maybe in a 60-40 portfolio, 60% stock bond. And in doing that, they're getting, opportunity for growth. They don't have that money earmarked for anything, but along the way, they may run into an opportunity. And if you're a business owner, it might be you can buy some equipment or buy another business or do something like that. Just opportunities come along that might be really good. I had one client that they were able to. There was part of an estate that they were going to be the beneficiary of, and they were able to buy a property at a pretty good discount from the estate. All right, they did that. All right, and they needed to have the cash, and they had the actual cash there available in that opportunity account. So we have that. So those are taxable accounts. We'll go into tax-deferred accounts. Those will be your retirement plans. You can do annuities. You've got things like that. And then you got tax-free accounts. Tax-free would be, most people think of tax-free as something like a Roth IRA, or you can borrow money against taxable accounts and get tax-free money out of it. Loans are not taxed. Or you might have a life insurance policy that you can borrow against it, and you can get tax-free income. So you've got stuff like that. So now what we've done is we've got different tax buckets. We also have different risk buckets. The risk buckets are your conservative, which might be bonds, okay, or money market, stuff like that. We also have mid-range or in between. We'll say that would be, a balanced type account, but you have stocks, bonds, and money markets. That's kind of where that goes. And so we have all these different portfolio allocations and things like that. And so then we go to insurance company type of products, and that insurance is what it is. It's insurance. So you're paying an insurance premium in order to have some safety tied into it. The most expensive insurance that I know of right now is something called FDIC insurance. And the reason the FDIC insurance is so expensive, and it's expensive in the fact that your rate of return goes down. The reason is because it's backed, and you're probably never going to lose it. If the FDIC goes under, we really got a problem. But the point being is that that's the most expensive insurance. You can go and buy a CD, and that CD has got FDIC insured. And if you don't want to do that, you want to get a little better rate of return, you buy an annuity that's only backed by the insurance company. All right. And so all things have different risks. You can do the same thing with bonds. You can buy bonds, what they call high yield or junk bonds. You get a better rate of return because the company backing it up is less stable than, say, buying a bond that Exxon issued. All right. Which would be like a high grade bond. So all these different things. We have annuities that you can buy, principal guarantee, guaranteed interest. We have annuities that you can buy, principal guaranteed, and if the market's down, you don't lose any money, you get a piece of the upside. We got something called a fixed index. We got a RILA. A RILA is one that has 10 to 20% generally protection of the downside. So if it loses more than that, you would lose, but you got a limited upside. And then you got a variable annuity, which gives you all the up and all the down. And so everything is just about going in and doing that. So then what we do, we say, well, if we're going to accumulate money, we know we've got different places. Let's go find a professional money manager. What is a professional money manager? First off, I always call people professionals when that's their full-time gig. All right. So full-time gig means, um, you're a golf professional. That means that's what you do. You make your living from that. There's a lot of people that are amateurs that are good players, but they don't make their living doing that. There's a lot of people that think they're professionals that are trading, on Robinhood. And the reality of it is that they're probably not professionals. So professional money manager, somebody that's what they do. Generally speaking, they work for a big investment firm that allows them to have access to information that probably is, pre-public in many cases, not in a bad way, but they're out researching and they're like, I didn't know they did this. I didn't know they had these things on cooking in the future. And, I guess their value is way more than what most people think. Maybe I found something in advance, or maybe they're touting a bunch of smoke that it really doesn't have to back up. And so maybe we don't want to do that. So professional money managers, what they generally do, they get paid based a percentage of the value of the account. So they have a management fee, and their management fee might be, 0.5%, just to say that. And then what happens is if the account doubles, they make double. If it goes down, they make less. Everything works like that. And so professional money managers can manage a portfolio. The reason we go to professional money managers is that, anything that you put a lot of time and energy in, you're probably better than the next person that doesn't put a lot of time and energy into it. And the good news about all your professional money managers is it's very transparent. I can go tell you how well this guy's done over the past. I can tell you how this fund is done over the past. So we start doing that kind of stuff. And so you go to a financial advisor's job is to asset allocate. And what that means is put you in the right place, right risk, all that kind of stuff during the time period that you have out in the future. The other thing a financial advisor does is help you choose investments, but overall gives advice, and that could include tax, whatever it may be. And so what happens is you couple a professional money manager with a financial advisor, and that's how you move forward that way. So my name is Roy Matlock Jr. Visit roymatlockjr.com for more information. All right, we're back. Segment 3, we're talking retirement. And if you're just tuning in, this is just kind of walking you through it. I would encourage you to go to the podcast or Roy Matlock Jr. Money and Business Hour. It's everywhere. We also got some short clips on the YouTube channel. So check all that out if you're wanting to learn about money. And right now we're talking about, the way money works and in how, you take and go to the marketplace. And I've always believed this. I've been around a long, long time, 40 years doing this, and very seldom have I ever seen anyone that outperforms the professional money managers. Now you might get lucky, and you might get lucky from the standpoint of maybe you work at a company that's a hot shot company. And if you do, what I would do is still diversify if you've got a lot of stock like that. I've seen this kind of stuff go on. One of the number one companies I was very associated with was Citigroup. And I remember Citigroup was like high flying, had killed it, all that kind of stuff. And then Citigroup in 2007 hit about $55. And by the time the housing market crash finished, Citigroup went down to 99 cents. Think about that. And so if you'd had all your money in Citigroup, you would have been in big trouble. And so that's an example of, why we diversify. So if you're doing really well, what you want to do is you want to make sure you get and diversify. One of the keys to diversification is just spreading risk around in different types of asset classes, which allow you to, be happy or one about something. I always have given the example, if you're out on the beach and you see one of those little stands, and if I own a stand on the beach or near the beach, that I want to sell sunglasses and umbrellas. And then that way, if it's raining, I can sell something. If it's sunny, I can sell something. And that's kind of what diversification is. You want to find something that when the market goes down, you're not that unhappy because you got something that stuck around, that was stable. And then if the market goes up, you want to be participating. This year, everybody wants to participate. But another year, everybody will not want to participate because we'll see the market tank. And I remember back in I was on the radio when COVID hit, and we had about a 20% drop in the market. And I don't remember all these people saying, I sure do wish I'd invested in growth funds last month so I could be down. And so that's why we diversify and we put different things out there. The biggest diversification places when it comes to accumulating money that are what I call passive investments. Passive meaning that you don't have to wake up every day and do something. If you go to a professional money manager, you have money markets, you have bond funds, you have stock funds, and then you have annuities. Annuities are insurance companies types investments. Now, if you think about that, now does that rule out real estate or Airbnb? I spoke at an event recently, that they do a lot of Airbnb type things, and my father was, rental properties, had about 40 houses, and so no, there's nothing wrong with owning those kind of things. I'm a business owner, so I'm the risk taker. I've never had a job. I've always been in business for myself, and so, but I believe if you spend your time and get great at something, then hey, I think having your own business, and if you want to buy real estate and that's the thing you want to do, that's good. But that's a business. All right, so I'm talking mostly about um, passive type things. I tell people real estate's great, but you got to work it. All right. And even real estate people diversify. And the way they diversify is they may have different types of properties and in different areas of town and different things like that. So anyway, so what we want to do is we want to get professional money managers. This has been my experience. I mean, I've got funds that go back as long as almost 100 years now, and these guys have been able to double your money every 6 years for 100 years. That's pretty good. All right. They're one of the original funds, one of them that I've been recommended, has doubled your money consistently for going on 100 years every 6 years. It's pretty good. All right. So you say, well, I can outdo them. Well, maybe you can. I doubt it. All right. And so what I tell people is go make a lot of money. Your job, your number one job is to go make a lot of money. All right. And if you go make a lot of money, turn over a portion of that money into something that, has done something like I was talking about. And then that will give you passive income, and you just keep doing what you're doing. Take a portion of your money. If you're a business owner, chances are as a business owner, you'll make better than 12% if you're in a business, but you're hands-on. And so what you're going to do is hands-on, make it, kill it, and then take a portion of it and put it aside and do things like that. And then you start saying, well, where do I put it? Well, professional money managers, there's mutual funds, there's ETFs, but the main thing is diversification. This is what you get. You get professional management, you get diversification across different asset classes. You can get into funds for as little, I've got them for $50 a month. And I would tell you right now, if you have kids or grandkids, I would love to help you get them started. And we have our reps that we do this all the time. If they want to open something, $250, will open it. And I've had advisors tell me, they say, why do you do that? You can't make any money on $250 investment or $50 or something like that. Well, I like teaching people. And also I believe that, there's no reason for someone to not get started. I mean, I've got 16-year-olds and 14-year-olds that the parents are clients of mine, and now they understand money. I just was on the phone with one of my clients' sons who just got married, and he's 24 years old, and he's accumulated over $100,000, all right, in investments. Think about that, 24. That's the kind of stuff. But I remember when he was a little kid. All right. That's the key to it. So what you want to be thinking about is why not get them started? So anyway, you visit roymatlockjr.com if that's something you have an interest in. The great part about it is it's convenient. You can dollar cost average into most of these accounts. And what is that? That means you can put your money in automatically. I tell people it's like Netflix. Think about Netflix. You sign up for Netflix, you'll never cancel it. All right. So what we do is just get you started on a fund. And once you get started, it pulls it out of your checking account every month. It's like your 401k. just get started and you just never finish. I mean, you never cancel. So that's kind of the way that works. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take all that little planning. Now we got dollar cost averaging. We're going to get a better rate of return, diversify. We're going to use professional money managers to help us. Then we're going to take advantage of tax advantaged accounts to accumulate money and get tax deductions. That could be your 401k, your 403b. You could have a 457, depending on where you're working. But all of them allow you to have pre-tax contributions. I call it buy one, get one free. How do you do that? You buy a tax deductible one and takes the tax deduction and maybe stick it in a Roth IRA. If you're a high income earner, you can do what's called a backdoor Roth. All the limits have gone up. So if you're over 50 now, you can do $8,600 into a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. So that's cool, starting in 2026. So all of these things, that's if you're over 50. So what happens is you start accumulating money. You take advantage of tax advantaged accounts. Some other ones, if you have access to a health savings account, those also went up in your contribution limits. So we want to maximize that. We want to make sure that we take advantage of any company matches because that is that's free money. And so we do those kind of things. So now what we're doing is we got a game plan. We've got our emergency fund set aside. We've eliminated our bad debt. We have taken our money that, is because we have an emergency fund. We've cut our insurance costs by raising deductibles. We've saved all that. I had one of my clients call me. He says, I heard it was $8,600. I'm only putting in 800 or 8,000. And I was like, yeah. He says, can you bump it an extra $50 a month? How simple was that? And now he's got his 8,600 going in. That's the kind of stuff. So we're doing all these things to make things work. My name is Roy Matlock Jr. We also did a 2026 checklist. You can watch the replay at roymatlockjr.com. We'll be right back. All right, finishing up today's retirement planning section, and our show is about accumulating and withdrawing money. And so if you're one of those baby boomers that are turning 65, 10,000 baby boomers are turning 65 every day. I'm going to be one of those in January. As long as I'm above ground, I'm going to be turning 65, one of the 10,000 that do it every day. And then a lot of you are out there and you're thinking, hey, it's time for me to, I'm going to call it a day. I'm ready to retire and do whatever I'm going to do. I meet with people. Matter of fact, I've had, it's funny. I had one of our guys that was working the show. He asked me, he said, how do you come up with all of these stories? And I'm like, well, I meet with people and I'm just not using their name. All right. But I put their story out. And so just this week I had 2 clients that I met with, and I always like to, give them their number. I'm like, hey, you won. Here's how you won. This is how much you can get if you take your Social Security. And we, worst case, said, let's just lock in a guaranteed lifetime income, which we're not going to do. But if we went in and said, what would an annuity pay to a 65-year-old and jointly? It's about 8%, 7.5% for the rest of both of your lives. And so you say, well, I'm 65 and I got $500,000. Well, your guaranteed outcome, you could take 500 times 8, that's 40,000 a year plus your Social Security. And you got whatever your Social Security plus 40,000 a year is, and that will be your guarantee. And so what we do is we go in and we build around what are your guaranteed income streams if you have a Social Security, pension, things like that. And then we sometimes add annuities to put a portion of your money in. And I say a portion, usually typical person that I work with, we might do a third of their money into some type of an annuity. The reasoning behind that, if you buy an annuity, the idea with an annuity, if you're in the retirement stage and you're pulling income on it, is you got a guaranteed lifetime income for as long as you live. Now, because you're pulling a higher amount of money out, there's a good possibility that the annuity is not going to grow enough to offset the big pull. And when when you finally pass away, there's probably no money left. All right, good chance you're buying an income stream, but it serves a purpose. And what is that purpose? Well, the purpose it serves is it protects you against what we call sequencing of return risk. And what that means is that, let's say you retire right off the bat, you got your money all in the market. In the first year, the market goes down, where you're having to sell extra shares to maintain your income. So what an annuity does, along with Social Security, gives you a baseline income. And then what we generally will do is take the other money and stick it into a portion in bonds and a portion into stocks, and we might put a year away in bonds or money markets, something like that, maybe 2 years. And then the rest of it would be in something that can grow. So let's just say that we have a 60-40 portfolio and you've got, a 75-25 portfolio plus your annuity. So what that means is if you had $1,000,000, you got a third of it sitting in an annuity, and it's paying you a guaranteed income. And then of the rest of the money, you might have another, $500,000 sitting in the stock market, about half of it, and then another $200,000 sitting in a bond fund or money market fund. So then if the market goes up and you need extra money, we're going to sell high and we're going to pull from the stock portfolio, and then we will reallocate it. And what that means is that we'll reallocate it back to where it was, to where you have a portion, of whatever 75-25 stock bond type portfolio, but you also got your guaranteed income. That's your Social Security and your pension, your personal pension, we call it sometimes. That's your annuity. Then the next year, the market's down. You need some extra money. What are we going to do? We're not going to pull from the stock portion. We're going to pull from the bond portion, and then we're going to reallocate again. And then so what we generally do when we meet with clients, we meet with them generally once a year, unless something comes up. We for sure do that annual review. And a lot of what we do when we meet with people is we reallocate, we adjust based on where they're at in life. So let's say that you're accumulating money right now and you're getting closer to retirement. So we might make some more changes. I'll give you an example of some of the things that I've done with people currently. And if they have a 401k, and let's say you're 58 years old and you got a 401k, then what we might do is be a little more conservative on the money you have accumulated. One of the rules that I also like to look at, not a rule, but kind of a math problem, is what's the most important thing that's going to contribute to you having a good retirement? Is it the money you've already saved, or is it the money that you're going to save? So the younger you are, obviously, it's going to be the money that you're going to save. And so we have a longer term horizon, and we can be more aggressive and, take the markets at ups and downs and stuff like that. But if the money that you've already saved is going to be the big portion of where you're going to end up, then we might be more conservative on that money, the lump sum. But when it comes to investing on a regular basis, say a contribution or 401k or IRAs, we're probably going to be very aggressive on those and benefit from dollar cost averaging. So let me give you an example what that means. Back in 2006, we had a market high, and that market didn't recover until 2012. Well, if you were in the accumulation stage right then, and we were very aggressive during that time, let's just say that the whole time you were fully invested in the market, you were buying every single month in your 401k or your draft on your Roth or whatever it may be. And it was great. The market went down. It stayed down a long time. You bought at a discount and it recovered. And even though the market over that long period of time was flat for about 6 years, you made money big time. You took it from the very bottom at 42% down all the way back. Some of it you made 40% on, some of it you made more. So that was a great plan to be aggressive when you have a longer term horizon. Now let's take the same people. And if you were aggressive during that time in 2006, 2007, and you were pulling money and you thought everything was just going to be skateboards and hula hoops and you were going to be, rocking and rolling, and all that was going to ever happen was the market was going to go up and you're just going to get rich and you're going to live big and large and all that. And you needed to pull money out when that market was down like that. You were having to sell twice as many shares, and people that did that ran out of money. Generally by 2012, many of them were in major financial problems because they had their money way too aggressive and they had poor or bad sequencing of returns at the beginning of their retirement. And so that same person during that time, had they had a guaranteed income along with some stocks and bonds, they could have withheld pulling from the stocks and bought in and just reallocated and had a guaranteed lifetime income on a portion of it, their Social Security, whatever it may be. And so that's the kind of things that we do when it comes to working with people that are retired. Where do you get some of those guarantees? There's different types of annuities. Annuities have a couple of things in common, three things generally that you can count on with an annuity. The first one is tax deferral. So if you have money, I've got an appointment on Friday, this coming Friday, with a client that's got money that he plans on never using. It's going to be an inheritance. So why are you pay taxes on it on a regular right now? Let's put it into something that will grow tax deferred. And the way that works is if you put it in, it can grow for as long as you leave it, and you never have to withdraw it, no RMDs or anything like that. And the money will grow tax deferred. So if you have money that you never expect to use, an annuity is a great place to go. Now, what type of annuities? So that's first thing, is tax deferral on an annuity. Second is you can get guaranteed lifetime income. And what that means is you can generally, with an annuity, get more money without risk as far as a withdrawal rate than you can if you go in and try to do a strictly stock and bond portfolio. So there's been lots of studies on that. So we generally will look for some portion to be a lifetime income guarantee. Then they have riders such as long-term care riders. There's some of them where you could put in 50 grand a piece, husband, wife. And if you go in the nursing home and, two of the ADLs, you're going to get 3X that 50 grand. If you don't, it's still getting a small rate of return and you have access to it, and it would be something that would go to your family. So there's different ones. You've got the least risk. That's a little bit better than the bank CD. It's called a fixed annuity, and it grows tax deferred. You have a fixed indexed. That means that it has guaranteed principal. If the market goes down, you lose zero. You get a piece of the upside tied to different indexes. You have what's called a RILA. That's a registered linked index linked annuity. Basically, it works like this. Generally, there's 6 years. You put it in, tax deferred, and they may give you as much as 20% downside protection over that 6-year period and give you a good portion of the upside. Most of them now, the rates are, 90 or 100% of the upside over a 6-year period and 20% downside protection. Then the last one is what's called a variable annuity, all the up, all the down. And it will give you also the tax deferral along with the lifetime income guarantee. So you start looking and you say, well, that's the way I can, tee up my retirement. What I'm going to do is I'm going to accumulate my money, take advantage of all of the places. I'm going to have, when I'm starting out, I got an emergency fund. I've got an opportunity fund. I'm going to fully fund my retirement plans, get my matching funds, do my Roths, do my backdoors, Roth IRAs, take advantage of health savings accounts. If I can get a tax deduction, I'm accumulating, I'm going to allocate, make sure I'm going to have good asset allocation, diversification using professional money management. I'm then going to take from there and turn it into an income stream. I'm going to have my guaranteed income streams, and then I'm going to have some that are more conservative investments. I'm going to have some that are in the market. I'm going to reallocate, and I'm off to the races. And I have a long-term great retirement. The only thing else that we would consider, we want to make sure we have great transfer process to the next generation. That's where living trust and things like that come into play. So this is what we do. We are implementers when it comes to that. I'm a financial advisor. I have a team of financial advisors. And if you would like to do a short phone call, do a review, make sure everything is on track, reach out to us at 615-843-2999. You can also go to roymatlockjr.com, download all of our free resources as well as listen to the previous shows via podcast. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next week.